easily, and now Scott Pruitt, or rather Pete Halsmer, will also attempt to do so. He does, going into corner number 5. So for the moment, the two up front guys have weaved through some slower traffic, and everything is well here at Road America. Now we get down to the serious business. Lap number 21 has just been completed. There is first and there is second. Lindley and Halsmer. Only less than 4 laps to go now, and the question is, can Lindley hold off this Halsmer challenge, or has Pete laid back and will now turn up the wick and go into the lead in a very short time?
The real key here, Bob, is for Les Lindley to not get preoccupied with the mirrors. He has to use them, but more importantly, intellectually, he has to make some guesses as to where Pete Halsmer might attempt at making moves on him and take that lane away like he did just there, coming down past the speed trap. He did not give Pete enough room on the left-hand side. He was going into turn number 5. He knew he had to take basically his line to keep up his speed, but not give quite enough room to Halsmer as they went down the hill. He did it right there. It was a combination of just kind of every once in a while glancing at the mirrors, but more importantly, intellectually thinking it through, remembering where the best line is at the next turn. Is it a right-hander? Is it a left-hander? Is it uphill? Is it downhill? Where could Halsmer get the most momentum? I got to take that lane away.
While we're watching first and second here, we'll tell you that Deborah Gregg continues to run third. Then in 4th position is the number 77 car of Jerry Thompson, and 5th is Jim Durhog. 6th unofficially is the 38 car of Jim Fitzgerald. Then in 7th is car number 50, Bruce Nesbitt. And in 8th position is car 81, driven by Paul Gentilossi. The 65 car of Dick Danielson has been in the top 5 until just...
Halsmer's got him, Bob. Halsmer got the line going to the corner.
He finally takes the lead from Les Lindley.
Pete Halsmer used all the RPMs and all the horsepower going down the back section of the racetrack through the kinks and going into Canada Corner, outbreak Lindley. Now, does Lindley have enough? Let's see what happens as they come around the very slow turn number 14, uphill down the front stretch. Will the horsepower in Halsmer's car pull him away? And can Lindley come back? Does he have anything left? Remember, the car should be superior in the curvy sections of the race course.
Well, my prediction is now that Pete Halsmer will stretch it out and make a shambles, but I don't know. Look at Lindley trying to get the line on the inside going to turn 1. Doesn't get it accomplished. And Pete Halsmer holds on to the lead, and I think we have seen the final pass of the race, Larry.
Well, let's see. Les Lindley certainly showed something I don't think Pete Halsmer really expected, and that was picking up momentum coming up the front stretch there. I don't think Peter would have ever expected Les to give him a challenge going into turn number 1, but they both had to be perfect to keep their relative positions there. Let's see if Lindley still has what it takes as they come down this another straight section, the second straightaway on the course, and as they move up through the S turns and up along Hurry Downs, that's where Lindley should be able to catch up.
There's turn number 5, now uphill. But Halsmer still has the advantage. Remember last year, Pete Halsmer had a very interesting conclusion to the Trans Am Series, in which he and Klaus Ludwig were involved in a bit of a shunt in St. Petersburg, Florida, as he wrapped up the season with a victory there. And America Trans Am race. Now stretching it out just a little bit, that's Pete Halsmer. We'll be back with more after this. We're on lap number 24. We're working the 24th lap, so this time around we'll have one more lap to go, and Pete Halsmer has the lead over Les Lindley, with Deborah Gregg still running in 3rd. And it's been a steady progression to the front for Deborah Gregg. She has to be one of the stars of this show as far as I am concerned. On the very first lap, she was 10th, and she has moved up steadily since then to the 3rd. Here's Gary.
Well, now keep in mind, gentlemen, if Deborah is able to finish 3rd, this would be the highest finish ever for a female in Trans Am competition. She has finished 4th before this season, in fact. And Lynn St. James, our ESPN commentator on the IMSA circuit, has finished 4th in years past. But this a third place would be the best finish ever for a lady in Trans Am competitions. Good ride for Debbie.
Yeah, Lynn St. James had a fourth in 1983, and Janet Guthrie had a fourth place finish in Trans Am competition in 1978. But Deborah could be on her way to setting the mark for women in Trans Am competition. She is third.
Also makes you wonder, Bob, if the first false start would have counted. She came out of the blocks, remember, in third.
Did she?
I wonder if she could have finished even a little higher. By the way, the number 65 car of Dick Danielson was running in fourth position. He has dropped out of the race. Jerry Thompson has moved up to fourth. There are the leaders, first and second, Halsmer and Lindley. In fifth is Jim Durhog. Sixth is Jim Fitzgerald, Paul Newman's teammate. Seventh is Bruce Nesbitt. Gentilossi has dropped back to eighth, and Larry Park is currently running in the ninth position. So there are the cars that have stayed up among the leaders in terms of the top 10 in the race here at Elkhart.
Pete Halsmer from Anaheim, California, formerly from Lafayette, Indiana, is leading this race by about a second and a half or 2 seconds over Les Lindley. We've only had 3 leaders, and we are on the final lap of the race. Scott Pruitt led lap number 1, later fell out of the race with an apparent overheating problem. Les Lindley led laps 2 through 21, and on the 22nd lap, Pete Halsmer went into the lead, and he has about a half a lap to go before his third Trans Am victory of 1987.
This race having a dramatic effect in the point standings. The leader, as we told you, Scott Pruitt, is a very comfortable lead in points by like 60 points coming into today's race. But second, third, fourth, and fifth in points are all finishing in the top 5 today, so it's really going to tighten things up.
The crew waits anxiously for Pete Halsmer to come around this final time. They'll be celebrating his win.
Out of the carousel, down through the Kettle Moraine sweep, around the kink right there on the back section. You can see Pete is really hanging it out. This is a very precarious part. This is where Teo Fabi went off course and went through the trees. It's where Jose Luis Garza flipped a couple seasons ago. Now down to the end of the backstretch. Canada Corner, where Pete Halsmer got the lead, and now they're moving into Thunder Valley. So called because you can see the trees and the walls get very close. It's like thundering through a valley with close walls. Then they approach turn number 14, the flattest part of the race course and the slowest part. And then Pete Halsmer goes up to the gears and heads for the finish line. There it is.
Off of corner number 14. Chirps the tires just a little bit coming off there. And here comes Pete Halsmer to the line, and the checkered flag drops. Pete Halsmer wins. Les Lindley finishes in second position. And Deborah Gregg will finish third. And the cold water treatment on one of the crew members in the Jack Roush stable. Great win for Pete Halsmer, who led only 3 laps, but they were the most important 3 laps.
Well, he won by 1.63 seconds over Les Lindley, but the time, I don't know, is what is so important. It was the fact that Les was able to stay close after Peter took the lead, and Lindley gets his second career second-place finish in Trans Am.
And here are the top 10. Halsmer wins, Lindley second, Deborah Gregg finishes third, then Jerry Thompson and Jim Durhog. Finishing in 6th was Jim Fitzgerald, Paul Newman's teammate. Paul out on the first full start. 7th place was Bruce Nesbitt. 8th was Paul Gentilossi, who ran second for a while. 9th was Craig Schaefer, and 10th was Del Russo Taylor. Let's go to victory lane. Here is Gary Lee.
Well, Pete, congratulations. The first thing you said was thank you to the crew for giving you the car. But I have to ask, did the race finally come back to you? Was Les setting a pace too fast for Pete Halsmer?
I was hoping so, because I was concerned about brakes every time you come here, and luckily I've been here a few times, and you have to be really concerned about brakes at this track, and especially heavy cars like these, and I was real concerned about it, and I wanted to try and run a pace that I knew I could make the brakes, or felt like I could make the brakes live, and it seemed like that's how it worked out. And fortunately, he really kind of eased off in one spot back there where there was an oil flag, and sort of gave me a really opportune shot to get by him, because the brakes were getting a little soft, and I was a little concerned about him, so I was glad to do it there if I could do it at all.
You're saying maybe he heated the flag and you didn't.
Yeah, well, it says oil, so you're on your own. It doesn't say you have to go any speed.
All right, there it is. Another victory at Elkhart Lake for the guy from West